Good morning, everyone, and thank you all for joining. I'm Gabrielle Chwazik-Gee, the Digital Marketing Manager at Weiser Mazars, LLP, which is a global accounting, tax, and advisory firm, and I'm very pleased to be presenting this webcast to you this morning. This is building and optimizing your LinkedIn profile on behalf of the SIFM, so I'd like to thank them for having me here as well. Now, I certainly think this topic is important, and you should too. The reason being is that LinkedIn is one of the greatest business tools out there today for personal branding, relationship management, business development, you name it, the list goes on. So my goal for today is to make sure that this session is well worth your time. I want to answer any questions you may have and make sure you leave here with an idea of how to optimize your profile, as well as a better understanding of LinkedIn and social media as a whole. So there is a copy of today's presentation available to you via the green resource list button at the bottom of your screen. So go ahead, take a minute to find that. Feel free to print that out and follow along. Again, that's under the green resource list button at the bottom of your screen. And I also encourage you to ask questions, and you can do so via the Q&A box on the lower left-hand side of your screen. That being said, let's go ahead and get started. So now this is our webcast agenda for the day. We're going to start off with a general introduction to social media, because I really want you to understand the trend of social media and why we're focusing on LinkedIn in particular. And then we're really going to delve into the workshop part of this webcast, building and optimizing your LinkedIn profile. We're going to go through the 10 most important things you have on your profile, how to change those things, and why you should be changing those things. And then the third part is your dynamic profile. That's going to be about, once you make these changes today, how you keep your profile up to date going forward and how you really keep it as a valuable tool. Of course, I'll take questions throughout the presentation, so please feel free to send them at any time. If I can't get to your question during today's webcast, I will certainly answer it later via email, so please feel free to ask anything and everything. Now, before we get into anything else, I want to take a quick poll here to see who we have on the line. So there's a question here: how frequently do you use LinkedIn? Options ranging from at least once a day to what on earth is LinkedIn? So please take a minute, make a selection, and make sure you hit submit there so I can see your results. Okay. Go ahead, everyone make their choices. Okay, so it looks like we have quite a few here. Infrequently at 35%. 30% a few times a week, 17 at least once a day, and we have at least a couple people who are what on earth is LinkedIn. So this will be perfectly fine for all of you, and I find that generally people don't use LinkedIn either because it's not a habit or they're just not sure how to make it useful for them. So hopefully we answer some of those questions here today. All right, so now we're going to start with a general introduction to social media. You'll see here at the top of your screen the official definition of social media. Social media refers to the means of interactions among people in which they create, share, exchange, and comment contents among themselves in virtual communities and networks. That is a terrible definition of social media. And I'll tell you, I like to explain social media as a two-way flow of communication. So in traditional media, which is print, radio, or TV media, there was an option for companies to push out content, be it an ad, be it an article, to consumers, and consumers could do just that. They could consume that content. There was no way for them to respond to it. What social media has allowed companies to do is now companies or organizations or individuals can push out content, and consumers can like it, they can share it, they can comment on it, they can publicly dislike it. And on top of all of that, those consumers can create their own content. They can talk to companies and talk about companies without companies having any say in the matter. So a lot of people will say, oh, social media is just a fad, it'll die out eventually. Well, I would agree that maybe 10 years from now Facebook will not exist or Twitter will not exist. But the trend of social media will indeed exist, because historically, once a group of people have been given a voice, they are very reluctant to give that up. And that's what social media has done, is it's given you as a consumer a voice. So that's how I like to define social media, is that two-way flow of communication and that exchange between consumers and organizations. Now there are some facts here about the prevalence of social media. You have each minute, 72 hours of video are uploaded to YouTube. 60 new users join LinkedIn, 100,000 tweets are sent, 684,478 pieces of content are shared on Facebook, and 2 million queries are searched on Google, 20% of which have never been searched before. So that's an interesting fact, and that speaks to really how prevalent social media is in today's culture. And also, there's years to reach 50 million users. Radio 38, TV 13, Internet 4, iPod 3, and Facebook added 200 million users in less than a year. So it came, and it came fast. Now these pictures you see over here on the side, these icons, these are all social media icons. So when you think about social media, you probably think about Facebook or Twitter, maybe LinkedIn, but there are hundreds, if not thousands, of social media sites and platforms that are very specific. It can be targeted towards location, towards gender, towards specific types of content such as photo or video. So you probably use social media a lot more than you think you did. So that's good. Give yourself a pat on the back for that. And today we're really going to be focusing on LinkedIn, like I said. Now, this next slide here, this is why companies care about social media. The reason being is that because it allows them to really target specific groups of individuals and optimize their content. So for example, you see in the Pinterest column here, Pinterest users are 83% female and 17% male. So a lot of companies that target that female demographic have really found a nice market in Pinterest that really works for their content. You'll see under the Facebook column there, you have Facebook as the largest opportunity for communicating with consumers in a non-obtrusive way. So companies are used to being on Facebook, and consumers are used to interacting with brands on Facebook. So a lot of companies find that to be very useful for them. Instagram, which is certainly not a good platform for all companies, is the exact perfect platform for other companies, such as National Geographic you see there. It's a perfect place to share pictures and videos. So National Geographic, as an example, has found that that is the ideal forum in which to share their content and to build their brand. Now, likewise, in this last column here, this is the LinkedIn column. You'll see the first thing is that it's business-oriented. So you're not going to see pictures of people's cats. You're not going to see, and you're not going to post pictures of, your birthday party over the weekend. This is solely a professional forum. This is where your colleagues are. This is where other professionals are. This is where you can go to establish yourself as a professional brand. So that's why we're focusing on LinkedIn today. Also, you'll see down there, second from the bottom there, 79% of users are 35 or older. So that's why I kind of encourage people, if they're kind of new to social media, to start with LinkedIn, because this is your colleagues. These are people with established networks who have been working in their industries for several years. So this is a good starting point for social media, and LinkedIn is very useful in a business sense. So we'll be talking more about that as we go through this. So that's why companies care about social media. This next slide is why you should care about social media. So I want everyone to take a minute, open up a new tab or a new window if you can, and go ahead and Google your name. I'll do the same here. Let me switch my screen so you can see what I'm looking at. And I want everyone to go ahead and Google their name. So let's see here. Go in and type in your name into Google. All right. Now I'm guessing that of the people who typed in their name to Google, about 50% are the actual person that popped up. Certainly I'm aided by the fact that I have a very strange name, so that certainly helps in that sense, but certainly if you have a strong presence online, you should be the first person to pop up when you Google your name. Okay, so that's what I'm guessing is about 50% of you were the person who popped up when you Googled your name. And of those 50%, look at the sites that pop up first. LinkedIn number 1, SlideShare is another social media site, YouTube is another. You have About Me is another social media site, Google+. So now, the reason for that is that Google ranks social media sites so highly that those will always pop up first. As an example, at Weiser Mazars, all of our partners have an entire web page devoted to their name. Their picture's there, it's their bio page, the title of the page is their name. However, their LinkedIn page will still pop up higher than that. So in one sense, this is a great opportunity for you to control what people are finding about you on the web. You have control of your LinkedIn profile. You have control of your social media profiles. And Google will rank those so highly that you certainly have an opportunity to pop up there. All right, so now that you're all panicking that you're not popping up when you Google your name, let's go ahead back to the presentation here. and really start talking about, well, how do we fix that? How do we get you to pop up on Google? So now we're going to go into that the building and optimizing your LinkedIn profile. Okay? So this is the workshop part of this webcast, and these are the 10 most important things you can have on your profile in order to optimize your page. Now, by optimize, I mean two separate things. One, we're going to optimize it for the people who are looking at your LinkedIn profile page. So we're going to make sure that the information they're looking for is the information they're finding. We're going to make sure that your page presents yourself most effectively and in a positive manner. So we're really going to go through and make sure that all those changes have been made for the people looking at your page. But on the other hand, we're going to optimize your profile for those computer algorithms that determine search rankings. So those Google algorithms and those LinkedIn algorithms that determine which order things pop up in online. So by adding certain little tricks to your profile and by adding certain buzzwords to your profile, we'll make sure that you not only pop up more when your name is searched on LinkedIn or Google, but when certain buzzwords are searched on LinkedIn and Google. So you always want to be thinking about those buzzwords, those keywords that you want associated for your name. So if someone goes and types that into Google, that you're the one that pops up. Now, this webcast, this session is kind of part of a two-part series. So what we're going to talk about today is really optimizing your profile. We're really going to focus on your profile page. And then the second part of this series looks at, well, now that you have a completely optimized profile, how do you go out and develop new business or promote your clients or promote your firm or promote your content, whatever you want to use LinkedIn for. So that'll be a second series offered by SIFM. So be on the lookout for that. And today we're really going to focus on that first step, that really optimizing your profile. So now please feel free to have LinkedIn open in another tab, in another window, and be making changes live to your profile. That's completely acceptable. Or if you're more comfortable, just take some notes, write some things down, and then you can go ahead and make those changes later after the webcast is over. And like I said, of course, any questions, please feel free to reach out. So now this is step one. You'll also see that there's those little green circles across the top, and there'll be little check marks that go across the top, which is pretty exciting, I know. So this is our step one, professional profile and cover photo. This is the most important thing you can have on your LinkedIn profile. The reason being is it makes you more memorable. It puts a face to the name. And you always know that once you meet someone, you remember them so much better than if you've just had an email conversation or a phone conversation with them, because that's a very strong memory trigger. So having a profile picture will make you more memorable. They also did a study recently that profiles with a profile picture are 7 times more likely to be clicked on than those without. Okay? So it also instantly adds a finished look to your profile, and you see here I have some do's and some don'ts. This is a professional forum, so you want to have a professional headshot. It can be black and white, it can be color, but you don't want to have sunglasses on being looking over your shoulder at a lake. That's not appropriate for LinkedIn. You want your picture to be in a professional setting. You want it to be just you. You don't want someone's arm draped around your shoulder or anything like that. You really want it to be a nice picture that presents you as a professional. So that's your profile picture, and those are the do's and don'ts surrounding that. Now, the second thing, and this is a feature not all of you may have yet, this is the cover photo on LinkedIn. And this is a new feature that LinkedIn is rolling out recently. And LinkedIn rolls things out in shifts. So your page may look a little different than my page. Your options may be a little bit different. But eventually you'll see this as an option on your page, and I encourage you to upload this. So these cover images, it's a big banner image at the top of your page, which is really an opportunity for you to add some pop to your profile, add a little bit of personality, and again, just draw people into your profile. Make it a little bit more user-friendly. These are all things that are important for the people looking at your profile, less so the computer algorithms. These are targeted towards the people looking at your profile. So now I'm going to go ahead, share my screen with you again, and I'm going to show you how to make those changes, just because I find that it's much easier to understand these things if you see it happening. Okay? So we're going to let that buffer for a second, and then we'll come over. So you come to linkedin.com, go ahead and log in with your username and your password. And this will take you to your main newsfeed here. This is your home page on LinkedIn. This is all the information people in your network are sharing. And where we're really going to focus our efforts today is on your profile. So come here to Profile and down to Edit Profile. And you'll see here this is your page. This is your profile page. This is mine. And depending on what phase of the rollout you are with in LinkedIn, there may be little pencils like this next to it. There may be little edit buttons. It may vary. It may look a little different than mine, but don't panic. The edit button should be right there somewhere. So what we're talking about is changing your photo. You see there's a little camera icon right here. You go ahead and click on that, and it gives you an option to change your photo or save your photo. And you can, crop it and pull it and see all the different ways it will appear on LinkedIn. So that's your profile picture, very important to have a nice picture taken. And then this is your banner image. If you don't have a banner image yet and there is that option, you'll see there's the edit background. I certainly encourage you to do that. If you click into this option right here, you'll see that LinkedIn provides certain presets for you, and that's perfectly okay to use those. Pick one that best suits your profile. And you can see there's several options here. Here's a technical one. You could do that. Here are some books if you wanted to do books. We have the computer, which is the one I like, some coffee. Or you can upload your own picture. If you have a banner image that you think would be just perfect for your profile, please go ahead and feel free to use that. This is just an option to, again, customize your profile, make it a little bit snazzier, and kind of add some personality there. Make yourself more memorable. So that's that first step, is changing your profile picture and adding a background picture if you do have that option. All right? So now we'll switch back over to the presentation here. Excellent. Okay. So now we're going to go ahead and move on to the second most important thing in your profile. And this is a headline with keywords. The headline is the line that appears right below your name. And it doesn't have to be your exact title. And also, this is the first place LinkedIn will go to associate keywords with your name. So now if you think about it, again, I'll use Weiser Mazars as an example. If someone is looking for a real estate tax accountant in New York, they're not going to go into Google and type in senior manager at Weiser Mazars. No, they're going to type in real estate tax in New York. And so by having those buzzwords in your title, you are more likely to pop up for that, both on LinkedIn and in Google. So what this is doing is this is increasing your searchability. This is really a change for those computer algorithms. So you'll see here are some examples of great LinkedIn headlines. So we have Partner, Media, and Entertainment Group at Weiser Mazars LLP. That's the Media and Entertainment Group being the buzzwords there. Financial Advisor, Life Planning, and Wealth Building at Wells Fargo. You have Life Planning, Wealth Building, Financial Advisor. Those are all good buzzwords. CEO and Digital Marketing Director of Mobile Technology at Digitas. Lots of buzzwords in there. And then this fourth one is my favorite, and I'll explain to you why. Senior Vice President, Long-Term Care Insurance, New York Life Insurance Company. Now it has both some really great buzzwords in there, but you'll see it also has these lines separating those terms. Now for whatever reason, this is a blip in the LinkedIn system, but having a special character in your headline makes your profile appear higher in search results. So you definitely want to have a special character like that line character in there. So you can have an and sign or an at sign, but I like this line. I find that it looks very professional. If you don't know where that line is on your keyboard, it's right underneath the backspace or the delete button. So I know, I just changed your whole world. You're going to be using those lines everywhere. So again, I encourage you to think about what your buzzwords are. As a professional, as your professional and personal brand, what buzzwords, what keywords do you want associated with your name? And whenever you do something online, whenever you have a bio on your LinkedIn, for example, you really want to be using those buzzwords so that those computer algorithms associate those terms with your name. Okay? So again, here you go. There are some options there. Let me switch back over to share my screen, and I'll show you how to make that change. This is a fairly easy one to do. All right, give that a minute to switch over. Now we'll come back over here to your edit profile again. Come down to edit profile if you're not there already. And you'll see your headline appears right here underneath your name. So it is the first line that you have. And there's just a little pencil, or you should be able to click right on it, and it just becomes a text box there. So I encourage you to go ahead and make a change there. Include a line if you want. I think that's a great way to make yourself just a little bit more searchable. And I'll speak from personal experience. So I used to have, marketing manager at Wise Mazars LLP. That's fine. That's what I am. But I added in, after reading this article, digital and social media, and the articles LinkedIn recommended to me were more tailored. The jobs that automatically pops up were more tailored. The suggested people I might know were much more tailored to my profile. So it really does make a difference from personal experience. So I would strongly encourage you to think about your buzzwords and really add those in there. Okay, so that's your headline there. And don't worry about it having your exact title on it, because down here in your experience section, you can have your actual HR given title. Okay? So that's the second most important thing you can have on your profile. Let's switch back over to our presentation here. Excellent. So now we're 2 check marks in. That's a good change. That'll help you a lot. This next thing is your summary. And this is essentially your online elevator speech. So it's important to have, and it's not something you should be able to do in the next 2 minutes. It's something you should spend some time thinking about. But this is the format I recommend for it. A first paragraph about what you do. What are your actual technical capabilities? What is it that you do every day? And then a second paragraph about your value-added statement. Well, what makes you different than all the other people that do that exact same thing? Now, this isn't optional, the third thing is the company boilerplate. Depending on how big the company you work for is, it may be very recognizable. If you work for GE, people probably understand what GE is. But if you work for a smaller company, you may want to put your company boilerplate in there, your little about statement about your company, so that people know what kind of industry you're in, what kind of work your company does. Okay, so those are the 3 paragraphs, which I encourage you to go through and kind of add those in. And then also, this is another thing LinkedIn is rolling out. You may or may not have this option, but there's an option to add multimedia links to your summary. So you can go ahead and add a PowerPoint presentation, an article that you wrote, a link to an interview that you did. So you can kind of add in some additional information. This is a great thing because, one, you can add a pop of color to your profile, add a picture that's not just text, so it carries people's eyes down to it. And people really like pictures and videos and things. They're much more likely to click on something like that than to go through and read a whole summary. So that's a nice option to have as well. So let me go through and show you how to get to that. All right, we'll switch back over here to LinkedIn. So now you'll see you're on your LinkedIn page. Again, come down to Edit Profile. And then we'll scroll down a little bit. It will be the first section that pops up here underneath your picture. So you should have an option to add a summary if you don't have one already, or edit anything existing that you have there. So you'll see, and this is a little box here, this little square with a plus sign. That's how you would add a video, image, document, or presentation. Those are those multimedia links here. So that's a good thing to do, and that's something I definitely recommend you spend some time thinking about, also being sure to include your buzzwords there. Okay? Back to the presentation we go. So very good. We have pictures, we have a headline, and we have our complete summary. Now this next step here is our 4th step, skills and expertise section. Now the last section, the summary, that's at the very top of your profile. That's for the people looking at your page to see. So that's very much geared towards those individuals looking at your page. This skills and expertise section is way down. It's like the last thing you'll find on your page. So no human looking at your page is going to scroll that far down. This section is almost exclusively for those computer algorithms. And what is it? It's basically a list of your buzzwords. So you're supposed to put in all these different options about your skills, your different skills and expertise, and people can check off that, like, oh yes, you're very competent at that. But this is going to increase your searchability because this is LinkedIn's way of associating words with your name, okay? So it's very important to fill this section out because this is really going to increase your online searchability. So again, let me show you how to get into that section. We'll switch back over here. And again, because this section is so far down on your profile, this is really for those computer algorithms. So you'll see here, here's my profile. Again, we're under Edit Profile. And you're going to scroll all the way down past your summary, past your experience. You have to go past all your past jobs. You're going to scroll past any additional sections you've added, projects. Your education, you have to scroll past that. We'll be coming back to those sections in a bit. And way down at the bottom of your profile, you arrive at the skills and endorsement section. So only someone who is very interested in your profile is going to scroll this far down and actually look at your skills and endorsements here. So this is really for those computer algorithms like I mentioned. You can have up to 50 in here, and I really encourage you to max that out. You'll see mine are mostly marketing type terms because that's what I do. Those are the buzzwords I want associated for my name. So yours should be different. Think about the skills you do, the computer programs you have, the service lines you offer, the industries you work for. Any buzzwords that you want associated with your name should come right here. And you can see right here, you can go in and add a skill. And like if you type in Facebook, it's going to give you suggestions. So I encourage you to click on one of those because it will really help you kind of target down exactly what you're trying to do. Like if you type in tax, it'll give you a whole bunch of different tax options. If you type in insurance, it will really give you a whole bunch of different insurance options. So select as many as you can, up to 50. Really kind of max that out. And then another thing I'll show you is that these are endorsements. So LinkedIn has kind of done this little gimmick here where all of your LinkedIn connections can go ahead and endorse you for certain skills. So that's a nice thing to do if you want to get some notice from someone. You can go ahead and endorse them for a skill. That's kind of like a nice little mention. And it doesn't take much work. It's just a little plus button that you check on their profile. But if you don't have a lot of endorsements, don't worry about it. Because like I said, it's kind of a gimmick by LinkedIn to encourage interaction among their users. It's not the end-all, be-all here. It's not nearly as meaningful as a nicely written recommendation letter, which is something else you can do on LinkedIn. But it's nice to have if you have them. If you don't worry about it. But that's just an explanation of what these are over here, your endorsements. And you'll see that it'll rank your endorsements in terms of, or you'll rank your skills in terms of how many endorsements you have. Okay? So that's your skills and endorsements section. Again, mostly entirely targeted towards those computer algorithms. Okay? So now back over to the presentation. We're swimming right along. We're on 4 check marks here, on to number 5. And this is a fun one, actually. This makes you feel really techy and advanced, and it's also very useful for that search engine optimization, really optimizing for those computer algorithms. Now, this is a customized URL. So when you see here, when LinkedIn gives you your link to your profile, it may or may not have your name in it. It'll have numbers and letters. It'll be kind of long and cumbersome. It's a working link to your profile, but you can really optimize that to have it just be your name. A couple of reasons that's important. One, it makes sharing the link to your profile easier. So if you want to put it in your email signature or if you want to put it on your business cards, it's a nice shortened, abbreviated link. Also, you may not have your name in the automatic link LinkedIn gives you. And so by customizing it and putting your name in that link, that is a very strong pull for those computer algorithms to have a link with your name in it. That will really ensure that you're popping up higher than everyone else with that name because you have a link that's all dedicated to your name. So again, I'm going to walk through this a couple of times because this is a sort of a hidden feature of LinkedIn. Again, if you have any questions about that, feel free to reach out. So we'll switch back over to LinkedIn here. Let that buffer for a second to make sure you guys can see. Okay, perfect. So now we're going to scroll up to the top. You again come down to Edit Profile. And then underneath your picture, which I'm sure you've all uploaded at this point, there's a little link to your profile, which you'll see right here. www.linkedin.com in Chwazik-Gee is mine, because mine's already customized. Yours may be much longer and more cumbersome. So either there's this little pencil option here or a little edit button. And this is how you customize it. You go ahead and you click on that. And this takes you to kind of the back end of your website. All the information is there. It's just not as graphically organized. So over in this right-hand sidebar, it'll be either here at the top or it may be further down at the bottom. There will be an option that says your public profile URL. And again, there's your little link with the little pencil button. So you would go ahead and click on that. And you'll see it gives you the first part. This is standard. www.linkedin.com/in/ and then there's a text box. So I encourage you to try first name, last name, no spaces, no capitals, no special characters. This is just text because it's a link. So try your first name, last name, and if that's available, if that link is available, you'll get a little green check mark. If it's not, then you'll have to try something else. So I tried, just for links purposes, I have the first letter of my first name and then my last name. You may have to put a number there, but really the important thing is you want some variation of your name. You can do last name, first name if you want, but you want some variation of your name in there so that the LinkedIn crawlers really recognize that as you're the person associated with that name. Okay, so let me show you again. I'll walk you again how to get to that point because it's a little hidden. You come down to Edit Profile, and that'll take you to your main profile page. Underneath your picture, you'll see there's a little link. So you go ahead and click on either the Edit button or the pencil, depending on what your profile looks like. Again, it'll take you to this back-end page. And over here in the right sidebar, either at the top or at the bottom, it appears in different places for different profiles. You'll have this link to your public profile URL. And there's a little pencil there where you can go through and make that change. Okay? Nice. And so then you'll scroll back over here to your profile page once you save that change, and you'll see you have a nicely customized link. So if you're ever looking to send someone the link to your page, that's where it is, right there under your profile picture. So that's what you would add to your email signature or anything else. Make sense? We all feeling nice and techy? You have a whole customized link. Look at you building links. Okay, so now we're 5 in, customized URL there. Very nice. So now on to the next section here. Now this is really the meat of your profile. It's basically your online resume, your experience section. So this is where you're going to go in and you're going to put in all your past jobs and positions that you held, different titles that you held. And you can include a lot of information here. You can include a description, job responsibilities, accomplishments, awards won. If you have recommendations on your profile or if you recommend someone else on LinkedIn, it will be associated with a certain position, not an overall profile. So you'll see here in this option, these 2 recommendations are associated with a specific position. Now, the reason for this being important is, again, it gives people more information, both those computer algorithms and the people looking at your page, and it's nice to have your background there. But for every, they always say that everyone spends so much time working on their paper resume, and for every 1 person that sees your paper resume, 100 people are going to see your LinkedIn page. And this has nothing to do with recruiting. I mean, of course, LinkedIn is a great recruiting tool, but this is your professional brand. This is how people are going to see what your experience is, how you've come to be where you are. And so it's important to have a wealth of information in there and show that you care about this and you care about how you're presenting yourself to the world. So that's what this section is all about here. And so, again, I'm gonna go through one more slide, and then I'm going to show you how to go through and make that change to your profile. Okay? So here we go. The next thing here, because it's very similar, is your education. So this is another section, very similar as you would on your paper resume, is you put in your education. You don't put in your high school or anything lower than that, but certainly put in your undergrad, any graduate degrees, any continuing education. If you're a student and you recently graduated from school and you want to put in your study abroad, that's certainly an option. But you can put in, these are all optional things you can add, a degree received, dates attended, honors and awards, organizations. There are certainly plenty there that you can add. So again, I'm going to switch back over here to the LinkedIn page and show you where to make these changes. All right, we'll give that a minute to buffer over. Excellent. All right, so again, come back to Edit Profile, and that will take you to your profile page. And just a quick side note here, when you're editing your profile or even on your home page, you'll see these blue boxes pop up. So this one is saying, what activities or groups did you join when you were at Boston College? This is just LinkedIn kind of prompting you to add more information to your profile. It's completely optional. It's not required by any sense. It's just a prompt to get you to add more information. So please feel free to just X out of that. That's not something you need to do. You certainly can if you want to add that information to your profile, but that's by no means required. Okay, so now we're back to our education and our experience section. So again, down to edit profile, scroll down the page a little bit, and underneath your summary section, you should have a section that says experience. It may be blank if you don't have anything in it. It may be kind of already filled out, kind of half-heartedly, but you really want to make sure this section is pretty well-rounded. You can add a position by, if you hover over up here in the right-hand corner, these buttons should appear, add a position. And I'll show you what it looks like when you go into edit something. So this is my most recent position here. It'll take you into this edit box. It gives you an option to put in your company name. Now, if your company has a LinkedIn page, like Weiser Mazars does, I'll show you that when you go ahead and put that name in, it will automatically pull up this logo with a link to the company page. So that's a convenient way for people to find more information about you. Okay? So you come back in here again. So you can put in your title. This I would recommend as it being your actual title. And some of you, there may be a little checkbox that is automatically checked here that says, oh, change this to be my headline. Uncheck that, because like we said before, we want your headline, which is this line up here, we want that to be customized. And that's okay for it to be different than your first experience title, but this should be your actual title. You can put in your location. This is important because when people are doing searches, a lot of times they'll put in a location thing. So like I said before, real estate tax, New York. So you want to make sure that you have that New York tag on your profile. You can put in a time period, and LinkedIn will automatically sort positions for you based on the time period you put in. And then you have an option here, a description box. So you can put in whatever buzzwords you have that you want associated with that title. You can put in some projects that you worked on, the things you do. And then also, on top of that, you can add in multimedia links to each of these sections now. So you can add in, again, this is a PowerPoint. This is a link to a Twitter page. You can add in videos. You can add in articles that you were published in. Any sort of link are all options and things that you can add here. You can add even an image if you wanted to. But I do encourage you to kind of add some content here, because like you see, if it were all text, that's pretty boring to read. No one's really going to scroll down your page. But if you have these nice highlights here, people will be like, oh, what's that? And then they'll find more information about you that way. Now, another thing to note in this section is that I encourage you, if you've been at the same company for a while and have had different titles, I encourage you to put those in as different positions, because it shows your growth. So put in your promotions as separate sections, because again, people will see how long you've been at each position, each level. If the description is pretty much the same, you don't need to add a description to each section. But again, here's those options to add in video, presentation, link, photo, document. There's a lot of options here. Again, if you have a recommendation, it's also associated with a specific section on your profile. And similarly, you'll see that that's an option for you. And if you recommend someone else, that will also be on their page. It will be under a specific title. So again, I encourage you to really hash out this section, spend some time plugging some things in here. This can be paragraph form, sentences, it can be just a couple bullet points if you want. Whatever you find is most fitting for you. This is the way I like it, but you may like it differently. Now, if we scroll down past all of this, we'll come to your education section, which was the other thing I mentioned. You really want to have this in here because, as you know, alumni groups are very powerful. And having a link to your group on here is another tag on your profile. So if someone looks for Boston College graduates in New York, I will pop up because I have that location tag and because I have the BC tag here. Likewise, people often search for those things, and anyone looking at your page may want to know that as well. So again, you can click into here, you add in your school name, dates attended, you can add in a degree, you can put other and customize it for however you like. Field of study, grade, you don't need to do that. Activities and societies, here's a good point. Don't put anything in the activities and societies box, because what it does is when you save something in this box, it will automatically become a link. And when people click on that link on your profile, it takes them to a page showing everyone that has that same link on their profile. The reason you don't want that is because it's directing people away from your profile and showing them profiles of other people that have the same thing in their profile as you. So you don't want to do that. Put all of your content here in the description box, which will remain as text and not become a link. So you can put honors and awards, you can put activities and societies, whatever you feel like you most want to highlight, that's how you would do that here. Again, you have options to add those multimedia links. Here's a study abroad. If you're interested in doing that, you can certainly put that in as well. Okay? And there's options to add as many education or as many positions in the experience section as you like. Okay? So now we're going to go back to the presentation. Like I said, that's really the meat of your profile. So you really want to spend some time hashing that out, kind of putting some stuff in there that way. Now, the next thing we're going to talk about is this listing of websites and social media. This is just additional means of contacting you, so it gives you an option to add additional websites to your profile, add a phone number if that's something that interests you, and also I'm going to show you how to add a secondary email address to your account, because it's just good insurance if for some reason you ever get locked out of your account. You want to have a backup email address on there just so you can still have access to your LinkedIn. So let me come back over to the profile and show you that. All right. Let it buffer for a second, and then we'll pop back over to the profile. Okay, so now this is up at the top. So you come back down to Edit Profiles at the very top of your page. Here, it may kind of appear differently on your profile depending, again, on the design of your page, but there should be a Contact Info button, and this will open up this option for you. The first thing I'd like to talk about is websites here. You can go ahead and add in some websites. So the ones I have one to my personal blog. If you have a blog or an article or something that you contribute to, certainly I would encourage you to put that link there. If you don't, you can go ahead and add the link to your company website or your company Facebook page or your company LinkedIn page. Those are certainly all good options. Just another best practices tip, I would encourage you, instead of selecting one of these automatic options here, come down and select Other, because what that gives you the option to do is go ahead and put in the title of your website. You can customize how that appears on your page. Okay? So that's the website section. Again, you can automatically link your Twitter account and your LinkedIn account. If you have a Twitter account and would wish to do so, that's that option. And then the other option I'd like to show you again is right here, to add a secondary email account to your profile, just for insurance purposes. Now, my profile, my primary email address is my personal email address. The reason for that being is that I prefer all those LinkedIn emails be sent to my Gmail account instead of to my work account. You can do it however you like. If you use your LinkedIn page strongly for business development, you may want it to be on your work account, so you see whenever something happens in your LinkedIn profile. That's a personal preference. But I would recommend that you have a couple on here. So again, you come into here and there should be an edit button. If you don't have this edit button, you may have to come down to privacy and settings over here on the right. They'll both take you to the same place. And again, this will have you log in again. And this is going to take you into the back-end settings of your account here. And you'll see it'll pop up with add or change an email address. So you see I have 4 email addresses associated with my account. My Gmail, my BC account, my Weiser Mazars account, and my Mazars account. The reason for that being is if someone searches for you by an email account, so for example, if someone at Boston College had my old BC account and wanted to search for me on LinkedIn, they may use that in the search bar to search for me, and so I want that associated with my name. So I encourage you to have a couple in there. Only one can be your primary address. You can switch it at any time, you see here. But one will be your primary address, and that's the address you'll use to log in, as well as where all those LinkedIn emails will go. To add an email address, you come up here, you type it in, click this button here, and it will send you one of those confirmation emails. So it's just nice to have some backup on your LinkedIn profile. So let me again show you how to get to all these places, because there's a lot of clicking happening there. You come down to Edit Profile. Again, we can click out of the blue box. Here's your Contact Info button. So we'll go ahead and we'll click into that. This is where you can change your website, your Twitter, and you can click here to get to your email address, or if this does not highlight for you, if you have maybe an older version of LinkedIn, you can come over here, hover over your little picture in the corner, and come down to Privacy and Settings. That will take you to that same back end. Okay? So that's contact info. That's just another nice thing. Oh, one more note is if you want people to call you, you can put your phone number on here. I feel as though that's a little intrusive personally, but if you do a lot of business via the phone and you don't mind having your phone number publicly listed, then that would be where you could add that. Same with your address. Again, just remember that that is going to be completely publicly accessible, so you may not want to share that with the world. I prefer to not have it on there, as there's many other ways people can contact me on LinkedIn, not having my phone number. Okay? So now we'll switch back over to the presentation. Very good. So we're at 8. We have 2 more sections left here. The next being LinkedIn groups. Now, I imagine some of you are probably members of a couple of groups here. What a LinkedIn group is it's a professional forum. It's a collection of people that it's a group that you join, and they're very specific. So you can have insurance professionals in New York as a LinkedIn group. So all the insurance professionals in New York who want to join can, and it's a discussion forum. So people can post links to articles or things that they're working on, events that they're attending. It's a good way for you to kind of network with people. Also, most colleges, most universities have LinkedIn groups, so that's another way that you can go through and kind of network with those people. And it's a good way to just stay connected to your existing networks and discover new connections. So I'm going to show you really quickly how to join a LinkedIn group and what that looks like. All right, so we'll switch back over here. Now to find a group, you come up here to this search bar on the top of your LinkedIn page. There should be a drop-down menu on the left. So come down and select groups, which means we're going to search only in groups. And for this group, let's search for insurance. So we're searching for groups that have insurance. Look, 22,000. There are a lot of LinkedIn groups to choose from. And LinkedIn will rank them based on how relevant it thinks it is for you. So global insurance professionals, you'll see here is the first group that pops up. There are almost 80,000 members. It's an active group. There were 21 discussions this month. And it even shows you, oh, there are 1,100 people in my network that are already in this group. Okay, so that's useful. That might be a good group to join. Here's another one, insurance claims professionals, a little bit more specific. Gives you a little blurb here. This group is intended for individuals who are in the insurance claims profession and would like the opportunity to, et cetera, et cetera. So 62,000 members, very active. 308 people in my network. And also, this is a nice thing to note, this little padlock here means it's a closed group, so that means that someone needs to approve your entry into that group. So that means that there's someone who sits there and controls the group and makes sure that no recruiters or no salespeople get into that group, that it's only relevant individuals. Now, when you go into a group, so you can join them over here, it'll give you several options. You'll see there are discussions here that you can like, comment, share. You can search members over here, jobs, promotions. So it's just a nice option to have. If you search for groups, like if I search for Boston College, you'll see there's a Boston College group, Boston College Alumni, Boston College Career Community, Boston College Worldwide. Certainly your company probably has a group, your college has a group, several of your industries probably have groups. So spend some time looking and joining a couple of those. And then you'll notice that on your news feed over here, the different highlights from those groups when people post things that will show up on your news feed. Okay? So that's a good thing to have, again, just for the point of networking and kind of keeping your network open. Now, the next and last step here is contacts, because this is, as you know, probably one of the most important things about LinkedIn is that it's a visual map of your connections, and it really allows you to stay up to date on things. Now, people always say, well, how do I know who to join with? Well, it's really quality over quantity. It's going to do you more good to have 50 quality contacts than 500 useless contacts to you. So the question you want to ask yourself is, would this person be able to introduce me to someone I'd like to know? So certainly you should connect with your colleagues, because when you connect with, say, the person in the office next door to you, you get second-degree access to all of their connections. And you don't necessarily know everyone who they know. You don't know where your next client will come from, your next potential contact would come from. And what I talk about in the second session is really how to kind of use the searches on LinkedIn and kind of find new business, and now that you have a finished profile, to go out and use it to really kind of build your business. But as far as quality contacts, ask yourself, would this person be able to introduce me to someone I'd like to know? So you should connect with your family. You don't know who all your family network peoples and professionals that they know are. You never know who your mom's cousins went to school with that may, be your next client. And certainly your colleagues, industry people that you meet at events. But there's no need to accept with recruiters, no need to accept with salespeople. If someone tries to connect with you and you don't know them, you can hit reject, and they don't get a notification that you rejected their invite, so they're not going to be offended. It will just drift off into cyberspace, and no one will think anything about it. So now I'll show you a couple of ways to grow your connections. And these 3 features here: people you may know, webmail importer, and export connections. So again, we're going to switch back over to the LinkedIn page, and I'm going to show you a couple features here. So give that a second to switch over. All right. Excellent. So now we're back over to our news feed. The first thing I'm going to show you is on this home page here. Click Home. Again, this is your home page. And over on the top right-hand corner, there's a People You May Know section. If you click See More, what LinkedIn does is it cross-references your profile, the companies you've worked for, the organizations you're a member of, your school and everything, and it pulls an endless list of people it thinks you may know. And you can go right ahead from here and connect with them. Again, so here's someone I went to school with, here's someone I went to school with, someone I went to school with, here's a professor I had while I was at school. There's a lot of people from my current company on here. So it's going to pull a nice little list here. Now, you'll notice here, one thing to note is, like, for example, this person here, invite to join LinkedIn. That means they're not on LinkedIn yet, and by clicking this button, you're going to invite them to join LinkedIn. Someone who has their title is already on LinkedIn, and you can just go ahead and connect with them. So this is a good way to grow your connections and find some people that you may know on LinkedIn. So you can go through and kind of initially do that. Again, that's up on your home page, and it's over here in the right-hand corner, People You May Know. Another thing is, if you come to Connections and come down to Add Connections, this is an email importer. And what this is you can go ahead and put in an external email address, an Outlook, Gmail, Yahoo, Hotmail, etc. Click Continue. And now I'm going to forewarn you about this. What this is going to do is this is going to go into your email account. It's going to look at all the email addresses you sent emails to, all the email addresses that sent you email, as well as your contacts. And it's going to cross-reference that with the email addresses used on LinkedIn, and it's going to pull a whole big list of people it thinks you may know. So you'll see here, be warned. Now, immediately what I want you to do is unclick this Select All button, because you'll see there's 365 people that you know on LinkedIn, and if you had Select All and click Add Connections, it's going to send an invite to all of them. If you think about all the people you email every day, there's probably some people in there that you do not want to connect with. So what you do here is you go through and you say, oh yes, that person I know, this person I know, oh that would be a good person to connect with, yes, this one down here. So go through one by one and kind of look at this list. But it does pull a list of accounts that you may be connected with. So that's a really good tool to know about. All right? But use it sparingly. Use it with caution. Again, that's under Connections and then Add Connections here. And now one of the last things I want to show you, it's just a handy little tool, is if you come and you click right on Connections here, there's this little settings button over here. If you click on that, down here there's an option to export your LinkedIn connections. And this is a really useful thing, because if you have like 893 connections, you can export first name, last name, company, email address to an Excel list, which you can then use for anything you want. So if you're connected with someone, you have their email address on LinkedIn, and that's a good thing. That's a good thing to know. Okay? So that's about your connections. Like I said, quality over quantity. You can make sure that the people you're connecting with are the people who may know someone of use. It doesn't need to be. You don't need to connect with recruiters and salespeople. That's not what LinkedIn is about. Okay? So that's your quality contacts. Now, on to the next thing. congratulations, you have a complete profile. If you do those 10 things, your profile is in really good shape. You're going to be more searchable, you're going to be more optimized. Both people and computer algorithms looking at your profile are going to find a lot of use in that. And now, how can you keep your profile updated going forward? Well, you can add additional sections offered by LinkedIn. You want to keep your profile updated as information changes. And you want to take other LinkedIn trainings. So like I said, we're going to be having another LinkedIn training with the SIFM coming up about how to go out and use this for business development. So that's something that you can do there. And I also want to show you how to add additional sections to your LinkedIn profile, because this may be useful for some of you. All right, so we're going to switch back over here last time. Okay. Now, what we're going to do here is you go back again to Edit Profile, and you'll see here there are these options. You may have them here. They may be in the sidebar, but you can add a language section to your LinkedIn profile. You can add volunteer experience. You can add honors and awards, which is one I already have on my profile. Or you can have, down here you can have projects, which is a really useful one. So this is, you can add in a project that you've worked on, and you can add team members and kind of tag them in it. So that's a nice thing to kind of develop out some of the things you worked on in your current position or in past positions. So that's another option there. Okay? So now that was one of the last things to show you there. Now, I see that there are a few questions here. So let me see. Let me look at some of these. Okay, there are a few questions about a premium account. Now, yes, I do have a premium account, and the kind of how I tell people about the premium account is that you can do a lot with the free account on LinkedIn. You can do a lot of things. You can run searches, you can find potential clients, you can do any research you would need to do on LinkedIn. And the only reason I would say to have a premium account is if you find that you're doing searches and the 1,000 people you find just aren't enough. For some people that's true. For recruiters and for certain social media people, they need more than 1,000 search results. But for you guys, especially if you're just starting out, I don't think you need the premium account, because one of the only features it adds that I find to be very useful is an in-mail feature, which allows you to contact people that you're not distantly connected with on LinkedIn. And there are ways to get around that. You can do that anyway on LinkedIn. So that's something about the premium account. I see there's some questions here about endorsements. If someone endorsed you, you do not need to send them a thank you email. You certainly can. That's a good business development practice. If you want to say, oh, I saw that you endorsed me, how have you been? That's great. Certainly you can do that. But that's not a requirement. If someone writes you a recommendation on LinkedIn, which involves a lot of time and effort, certainly do that, but not necessarily for an endorsement. Let's see what other questions we have here. Oh, what if I want to keep my personal and business networks separate? Well, I would say, I'm a proponent of kind of keeping them together on one LinkedIn account, especially because if you have two LinkedIn accounts, they're both going to pop up and it may be confusing for people. I would recommend kind of having it all together, because LinkedIn is a professional space too. I'm not sure, and I can reach out to you afterwards if you have like a separate side business or something like that that you want to promote. But I recommend keeping it all together, because anything you're doing on LinkedIn should be fairly professional and fairly appropriate for a wide audience there. Okay. To people you don't know if you accept people you do know. Okay, so here's a question. Aren't you connected to people you don't know if you accept people you do know? Only people, so this is a quick explanation of your network on LinkedIn. People who have sent you an invitation and you have accepted them, or you've sent them an invitation and they've accepted you, that's your first degree connections. So those are people you are directly connected with. They are in your network. That's the number you have on your profile. If you have 300 connections, those are people who have accepted your request to connect, or they have accepted yours, or vice versa. Now, on top of that, you have your second degree connections. So those are people you share a common connection with. So if I know Sarah and Sarah knows Erin, then I am a second-degree connection of Erin. We're not necessarily directed, but she will now show up in my search results if I'm looking for information. And that's something we talk about a lot in the second session here. So there's a second degree, and then third degree connections also are people kind of you share a group with there. Okay? So that's a quick sell on that, and that's something that we can talk about greater in more profiles. So that's all the time we have for questions now, and I'll certainly answer the rest. I see some more popping in now. I'll answer the rest via email, so continue to send them if you like. I'll go ahead and put my contact information up on the screen. Feel free to connect with me. Feel free to connect with your colleagues, with the people at SIFM, and that's certainly a good practice. And I thank you all for joining today. I hope this session was worth your time. Feel free to reach out to me at any point with any sort of questions. Now, Diane, are you on the line?
Yes, I am.
Okay, great. I'll toss it over to you.
Okay, thank you. I wanted to thank Gigi for this great presentation on behalf of SIFM, and I wanted to do a little commercial because SIFM is an exclusive connection to the people, knowledge, and trends that drive the insurance industry. Our quarterly conferences are regularly ranked as the best value by our members, and in one afternoon you can hear up to 5 cutting-edge presentations, earn up to 5 CPE credits, and network with industry leaders. Our upcoming quarterly conference will take place on March 19th at PwC's offices on Madison Avenue in New York City, and we have a great lineup. The first session is going to be Understanding Internal Audit's Role and Measuring Its Value, the Healthcare Reform, Current Status, the New Revenue Recognition and implications for insurance companies, the Affordable Care Act, tax implications, and the current environment of the SEC. So either check out SIFM.org or email me at dmensinger, that's DMENSINGER, at SIFM.org for additional information. Okay, Gigi, back to you.
Okay, great. Well, everyone, I thank you again for signing on today. I hope it was worth your time. We went through a lot of information, so please do download those slides from the green resource list button and reach out to me with any questions. I'm a big proponent of LinkedIn because I think it's such a great tool for business development and relationship management and just really growing your network and your personal brand. So I do encourage you kind of to stay abreast of the changes on your profile and really keep that up to date and spend some time on it. And with time, you'll get more used to it and feel more comfortable with it, which I hope you do already. So certainly, we'll be doing more of these with the SIFM, so I encourage you to sign up for those as well. There'll be a couple of different topics. So again, I thank you all, and I encourage you all to keep up your LinkedIn page and have a great day. Thanks, guys. Bye.